You ever wonder why you always keep going back to your old ways? Even when you try to do better, you set new goals, you try new habits, but somehow you still procrastinate. You still second guess yourself. You still keep quitting when it gets hard. That's because your mindset is still wired to the old pattern of thinking. And if you don't change the way that you think, you're just going to keep building your life on top of the same broken behaviors that keep holding you back. Let me show you how to fix that, starting right now. If you watched the last video, then you understand identity, right? If you didn't, go watch that first. I've linked it below. It breaks down what identity really is, how it gets programmed, and why your life keeps snapping back to old patterns, no matter how motivated you are to change. Now that you got that foundation, let's talk about how you start reshaping that identity and actually create the life that you want. It starts with your mindset. Your mindset is how you think, how you speak, and what you believe, right? And it's the first layer in rebuilding your identity once you've made the decision to upgrade it. Because once you reach that point where you don't just want more, but you actually decide to become more, you're going to unlock something that most people never do. You actually get to create who you are on purpose. You're no longer trapped by your old programming. You're not a slave to the thoughts or the beliefs or the patterns that you picked up from your parents or from your past or from, the environment that you're in. Right now, your mindset's filled with beliefs, behaviors, assumptions, and narratives or whatever that you didn't consciously choose, right? You inherited them, I guess you could say. You absorbed them, but they ain't got to stay. You can rewire every single one. You can rebuild the way that you think and actually start becoming the version of you that's aligned with the life that you want. But, and this is where I usually lose people, it takes work. Conscious, consistent, boring work. It also takes self-awareness, which a lot of people don't have, come to find out. You got to be able to step outside of your own thoughts and your moods long enough to actually see them and not just be them, right? Because if you can't observe your patterns, then you're just going to keep living them on autopilot. If you can't see where you keep playing the victim, if you refuse to take accountability for your shitty attitude or your shame or your guilt or your victimhood, then all that dysfunction in your life, you're just going to keep calling it your personality. And you'll grow older, not wiser. You'll just be growing more bitter and more convinced that life did this to you. But to change your mindset, this is where that starts, right here, with the courage to actually face yourself. Most people hear change your mindset and they just think that it means to be more positive. But mindset is not about fake optimism. It's about reprogramming the entire way that you think, speak, and respond, especially when life kicks you in the teeth. You see, your mindset is the filter. It's what you see yourself, it's what you see your potential, and it's what you see your problems, and it's what you see your future through, right? And right now, most people are walking around with a mindset that was built in survival mode. Now, I know that some therapists speak, so let me tell you what that means. It means that your way of thinking was shaped by hard moments, by being let down, by needing to stay quiet to avoid being judged, by chaos that you had to adapt to. So now your brain doesn't default to growth. It defaults to defense, right? And that shows up as overthinking every decision, expecting things to go wrong, avoiding risk, even when you want more, shutting down or quitting whenever something gets hard, doubting yourself before you even start. That's what a survival mindset looks like. Your mindset controls how you interpret challenges, how you respond to pressure, what you believe you're capable of, and overall, what you subconsciously expect from life. And if you don't rewire it, it just keeps dragging you back to who you used to be, even when you're trying to grow. Like, you want the results of a healed, focused, successful version of yourself, but you're still thinking like somebody who's just trying to survive the week. And this is why your mindset has to be rewired intentionally. Because if you don't change the way that you think, you're going to keep reinforcing the identity that you're trying to get rid of. So again, let me reiterate, your mindset isn't just how you think, it's how you speak, it's what you expect, and it's what you believe to be true, especially when nobody's watching you. If you want to rebuild your identity, which if you want to start living that ideal life, you need to, there are 3 core areas of your mindset that you got to rewire. Number 1 is your beliefs. This is what you've accepted as true about the world, about other people, and most importantly, about yourself. For example, you might believe that I'm always late, or bad things always happen to me, or rich people are evil. I can never be successful. What you don't know is that you didn't choose those beliefs. They got installed by repetition, by pain, or by survival. And over time, your brain started treating them as facts. And let me tell you what pisses me off about beliefs. People go through life saying, I'm ashamed of myself. I feel guilty a lot. I'm just an anxious person. I've got anger issues. I touched on this earlier, but people say it like it's just who they are, like it's a personality trait. And the crazy thing is, when you try to help people face those beliefs, they get offended. They get defensive because those beliefs are so ingrained that they don't even question them anymore. They've confused them with their identity. They spent years protecting the same beliefs that are actually holding them back. Can't hold a job, can't hold a relationship, thinking that just thinking positive thoughts and putting up Bible verses is going to solve the issue. That's why this stuff is so important, because until you challenge those beliefs, you can't change them. And if you don't change them, you're going to keep creating the same version of you over and over. You'll live the same year over and over, sabotaging, angry, ashamed, guilty. Growth doesn't happen by accident, and neither does self-destruction. Okay, done venting about that. The second core that you need to change is your self-talk. This is your inner dialogue. This is how you speak to and about yourself. I remember growing up, or hell, even in my adult life, you'd hear men or women say, I'm just a bitch, or I'm just an asshole. There was even a song about it, probably both of them. Certainly, I'm just a bitch. But anyway, but what a terrible thing to take pride in. I've never understood it. Even as a kid, I remember not understanding it. Like, why would you be proud to say that? People say that as a badge of honor, but what they don't realize is they're saying that because at some point they believed that's who they had to be to protect themselves. Maybe they got hurt, maybe they got rejected, maybe they learned early that being hard was safer than being honest. So now they use self-deprecating language like it's funny. But in reality, it's a defense mechanism disguised as personality. And here's the kicker. The more you say it, the more you become it. Because your words reinforce your identity, whether it's true or not. And a lot of the way that you talk to yourself, that came from somebody else, a parent, a coach, a teacher, some moment where you felt like you weren't enough and your brain locked it in. Another example, when someone messes something up and they immediately say, oh, I'm so stupid. They don't even realize they're programming their brain to accept that identity. It's not just a random comment, it's a repeated instruction. And over time, your brain starts following those instructions automatically because your words shape your wiring. Your self-talk becomes your standard. And once your standard is locked in, that's who you show up as every day. And this is why it's so important to become conscious of what you're telling yourself. Let's be real. We've all said something like, I'm so stupid, even me. But now when I do it, I immediately catch it. And I say, no, I'm not. I'm smart. Here's the rule that I use. If I wouldn't say it to my kid or someone I love, I don't say it to myself. Now, you won't be perfect, but just become conscious of it. So you stop being careless with it. The third thing is your expectations. This is what you assume is going to happen before it even happens. Like a lot of you walk around just expecting things to go wrong, expecting people to let you down, expecting to fail. I mean, you don't say it out loud, but it's running in the background. So when things do go wrong, your brain goes, yep, I knew it. And that's the problem. You start living your life to match what you expect instead of what you want. You won't push hard. You won't stay consistent. You damn sure won't finish what you start because deep down, subconsciously, you already decided it won't work. And that's what low expectations do. They don't protect you. They prepare you to lose. And the reason you expect so little is because you've been let down so many times. You think it's normal. You started lowering the bar just to not feel disappointed. And I don't care how driven, successful, or positive you think you are. If your default thoughts still sound like fear, shame, doubt, or worst case scenarios, your mindset still needs work. Now you get it. Your mindset is more than just thinking positive. It's your beliefs. It's how you talk to yourself. It's what you expect from life and what you've been unconsciously living out for years. But once you rewire your mindset, you need something that locks it in. And that's where structure comes in. Because even with the new mindset, if your life is still unorganized, inconsistent, reactive, you'll fall right back into the old patterns. So in the next video, we're going to break down how to build structure that actually supports the person that you're becoming. So you're not just thinking different, you're actually living different. Thanks for watching. If you're starting to see where your mindset's been holding you back, do something about it. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Drop a comment if something in here punched you in the gut. I actually read them, respond to most of them, unless they're crazy. And send this to somebody who's stuck in their own cycle. Now, let's get into the next part, structure. Because mindset's a start, but structure is what makes it stick.